Today we finish this section of Isaiah. We're going to finish 34 and 35. Tomorrow starts a little narrative going to the time of Hezekiah. And so we also get an idea that many of these were written sequentially. That you're beginning with when King Uzziah and going through Hezekiah, and even First Chronicles and even First Kings mentions Isaiah with Hezekiah. So we've got that narrative coming up, but we have also the prophecies of Isaiah from 1 through 35, and again broken up into their own little YouTubes, their own little ideas, and we need to read it as such. So we've been dealing with 25 through 35 is been these emotives of how the prophet feels, but also how the Lord feels, and together they're one with the emotions that are going on. O Lord, thou art my God. He begins in 25, and he moves through talking about how they've gone away, how woe unto the crown of the pride of the drunkards of Ephraim, calling down Israel for their sins. And then woe unto Ariel, the city that David dwelled, calling down Jerusalem for their sins in 29. And we have all of this woe to rebellious children. And again, this needs to be understood. God hates rebellion against himself. I'm not going to forget that 30:15. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. But you would not, but you said no. If anything, I really don't like that the King James broke that up. They put 16 because the but you said no should go with the next verse. In fact, probably that should be another verse. Please, when you're reading this, try to ignore the numbers as much as possible. Most of the chapter breakings are okay, but many of the verses are kind of almost arbitrary, or they are arbitrary. There were no numbers in the Hebrew or the Greek. That was put in by English scholars. I'm not saying it's wrong. It really helps us to understand. It's very good for education. It helps us to see it clearly, but beware that it is arbitrary. That should have gone together. Woe to them that go down to Egypt in 31. Talks about his king reigning in 32. Woe to those that spoils. Woe to those that deal treacherously. It's coming too. And we see also a lot of these woes coming up in Revelation. These woes are happening. You're going to be in travail because this God is going to come. 33 turns around a bit. But the glorious Lord shall be upon us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein there shall be no galley for oars, neither shall gallant ships pass by. He's going to create streams and rivers, and it's going to be a place of milk and honey. So he talks about, look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eye shall see it, Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. So when he sets up Jerusalem, it'll be a place that will not be taken down. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken to people. Let the earth hear, and all that therein, the world and all the things that come forth to it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and the fury upon all the armies. He shall utterly destroy them. When armies come up against them, he will utterly destroy them. So he's warning the nations. He's come, you nations, come and hear. Hear what the battle is going to be. Their slain shall be cast out, and stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and heaven shall roll away like a scroll. We're also talking end times here. When you see this also, that was mentioned in Revelation, rolling away like a scroll. For my soul, my sword, shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come upon Adeniah, and that is of Esau. He's going to go against Esau. Adeniah. And the sword of the Lord is filled with the blood, and made fat with fatness, and the unicorns that dwell upon, and them that are the bullocks with the bulls. And the land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust shall be fat upon the carcass. For in that day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. The idea that these nations have had controversy with Zion. And so he's going to take vengeance. That's why he says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. So we have to see that Jesus, even when he was reading in Isaiah, it's the only one we have him directly quoting from, he doesn't mention the day of vengeance when he was talking about these scriptures have been or come alive in front of your ears. They're fulfilled in front of your ears, and they wanted to kill him for that, for saying those scriptures were happening now. But the day of vengeance will come. He's not just a happy-go-lucky love God who just loves man, lovey-dovey-dovey. I just have this big, goofy heart, and I just want to hold you. He does love us, but that means he's committed. He has more than just warm feelings, but he has also standards and values that he wants us to live up to. It's like if someone who was a millionaire and had certain standards, maybe there's a military person or somebody, they have a standard of how they want their house run, and you have some adopted kids come in, they better get up on time, they better eat the breakfast that's been given them, they need things they have to do, if they need educations, they need to get at it, if they have chores, they better get on it, out of respect for being in that house, because I can put you back into the streets. Now, God won't do that because of Christ. Many people, want the minimum. I'll just get saved, thank you. Others like, whatever you want, I'm here for. That should be our attitude. But vengeance is going to come to the ungodly who wrestle, who fight against God. There aren't more than two camps. You're either for him or you're against him. You're either for him and forgiven, or you are against him. And you're his adversary. You're his enemy. It talks about how that place, he will have vengeance, and the streams therefore shall be turned into pitch. He's going to create that place in Esau like a hell. And there will be pitch thereof, and the land will be burning, and it shall not be quenched, no day and night, and smoke shall be given up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste, and none shall pass over it. So this is a type of hell. I said heaven, I meant hell. He's making a type of hell there, where it's going to be pitch and fire and brimstone. It's also going to be a place where the animals live, a place of desolation and destitution that will be upon it, and then there'll be stones of emptiness. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, and none shall be there. The thorn shall come up out of her palaces. The wild beasts in the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island. And there shall be a great owl make their nest, and hatch, and gather together under their shadow. Seek ye out a book of the Lord, and read. No one of these will fail, none shall want her mate. For my mouth it is commanded, and his spirit it shall be gathered there. And he will divide a lot with them, and his hand shall be divided unto them. They shall possess it forever from generation to generation. He's talking about the animals will possess Idinium, which is Esau. He's going against nations for their sin. We as a nation should be afraid of that. We as individuals should be afraid of that. That God will go after people for their sin. That's what this whole thing has been about. The wilderness is a solitary place. Shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with the joy of singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong and fear not. Behold, your God shall become with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you. If God's taking vengeance, he's taking vengeance because you've gone against his name. You've gone against him. You've besmirched his character, but also you've been hurting those who did obey him. He takes that very personally. Remember when Jesus said to Saul, why do you persecute me? It wasn't just these believers who happened to take on the philosophy of Jesus. He took it personal. If they're doing what I told them to do, and if they're mine and you're hurting them, you're hurting me. And so he takes that. This vengeance isn't just for his holiness. It is. But it's also because how they treated those who stood in his holiness and believed in Yahweh. And the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a lark, as a harp, and the tongue of the dumb shall sing, for in the wilderness the waters break forth, and streams in the desert. This is what's going to happen when Messiah comes. When vengeance is taken care of, there'll be streams in the desert. Everything's going to be wonderful, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and thirsty land springs of water, and the highways there will be for a way that it will be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, and it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. You're going to create a way, but it's not a way for fools. Fools won't enter in. No lion shall be there, no ravenous beast shall come upon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. The redeemed are those who are forgiven. They're bought back through forgiveness. And the ransomed of the Lord, the redeemed and the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Now, doesn't that sound wonderful? Sorrow and sighing and sighing and shall flee away. They're going to have joy and gladness. Sorrow and sighing shall flee away. This is the wonder of how God wanted to set this up. This is what he's been wanting to do for his people for a long time, but they would not. I'm gonna memorize and hook Isaiah 30, 15, and 16 into my brain, but you would not. But you said no. If there's anything that says what the anger of all of this is, that I was trying to bring you back, but now there's going to be a time of vengeance coming. And we see that coming in the future. That's the very end of this book. Vengeance comes to a world who has besmirched the character of God, and for those who have been destroyed by the enemies of God. So this happens here. We end on a very good note, just like a lot of the minor prophets ended on a good note. We started bad, went good. A lot of the Psalms started bad, went good. Here we went through 10 chapters where it really tended to lay it out, and then you ended with the goodness of God, and that's where we should sit and look upon the goodness of God. Do you worship God in vain? He mentions that, to worship God in vain. You don't believe there's any profit in worshiping this God. There is profit. We may not see it today, but there is profit in worshiping this God, and that's what he's saying here. There'll be songs of everlasting joy upon their heads, and they shall obtain joy and gladness. Sounds very good. Thank you.